Welcome to episode 66 of Relics of Orr. I'm your host, Shongaku, and this week I am joined by a bunch of people from Relics of Orr, some of which you have heard before, some which you have seen before. No? Yes, you have, because you've seen Spirit. So, we've got Spirit to my right. Yep.
Hello.
How are you doing this week, Spirit?
I had soda and I'm hyper. I don't drink coffee, so that's where I get my caffeine.
You young people and your soda and your all that stuff. Evie!
Totally.
We also have Evie, who you have heard before, but you may have seen if, like, you saw the unedited episode where he showed up for, like, 15 seconds. How are you doing this week, Evie?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking.
Cool. And we also have...
Thank you, normal.
That's good. We also have Chaz, who you have heard on Relics of Orr when they were doing just the audio podcast, or when we were doing the audio podcast. I wasn't there at that time. But you are from the frigid Northlands, all the way to... You've begun playing the WoW clone that is Guild Wars 2. And so it's good to have you on board. How are you doing?
Very good. Oh yes, Internet. Here I am. I am the amalgamation of all of your sins.
Oh dear.
Oh.
Very light amalgamation of sins.
Well, he is Canadian, so... Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's true. Sorry. I'm
That's
not
what they have for
Canadian.
healthcare. Doesn't healthcare fix that?
Yeah.
Does it fix your sins? I
Is
don't
it
know.
really free? I'm pretty confident that it gets paid for by taxes, but... we could always
Taxes
have that.
aren't real in Canada.
Oh, okay. They don't have taxes in Canada?
Oh no.
No, they have maple syrup.
If
and
the government
juice.
wants to exist, they just exist. That's how it kind of works.
You don't need
And then they
taxes.
say sorry. And
Yeah.
It's
It's okay. Now that we've had our racist Canadian statements by me, go Alaska. So, Chaz, you just showed up, so this will be interesting. We had a February patch on Tuesday, and the biggest thing that they did in the patch that Spirit wants everyone to know about is that they fixed a significant bug. What was that bug, Spirit?
They fixed the auto run bug, which is okay. So if you've ever done, especially the Jade Maw, if you would go to pick up the reflecting crystal and you would keep running past it and not pick up the crystal and usually die, and or run off the edge because you were stuck going in whichever direction you're going. You don't do that anymore. It is wonderful. I can pick things up and I can throw them and I don't die. It is fantastic, and thank you very much for fixing that.
It was also an issue, I think, during the Grawl fractal, because the Grawl, you're on this cliff edge and you go to pick up this rock to throw at the Grawl, and then you just keep on running and you drop into a pit of lava, and it's terrible. So, yay! We're super excited about that. They've also started the dungeon revamp. Have you, Chaz, have you ever actually run any dungeons in Guild Wars 2?
Okay, so I have run Ascalon Catacombs before the dungeon revamp, and I did run it afterward.
What'd you think of the changes?
Okay, so Ascalon Catacombs Explorable from the dungeon revamp, I only did the path 2, and that was with, like, I don't know, you were in like this large open area and there was like 4 turrets in a square formation, and the boss, you kind of wanted to have them get hit by the turrets, I guess. I don't know, it was kind of a tank and spank basically, but they revamped that now, and it's now actually like a dynamic fight.
So, what exactly are you doing in that fight?
So what you're doing in that fight, so instead of there's 2 phases basically. The first phase is you cannot target the boss. The boss is still there and he's hitting everybody.
Okay.
And when that happens, Spirit just disappeared.
Yeah.
Oh well. So she knows exactly what happened here. She was there. So the boss is ethereal. You can't attack him. If you hit him, then a bunch of globs will spawn. These are represented by little oozes. There are a bunch of items for you and your 4 compatriots in crime to pick up. These items are like these little guns. You use these guns to pick up these oozes and drag them to the 4 turrets. Or actually, they're not turrets anymore, they're traps. So you drag these oozes using your guns to these 4 traps, and then you bring the boss over to those traps. And when you're doing that, you overload them or something like that. Magic, woo! And then the boss switches to phase 2, for a short time he'll be targetable and attackable, and you can hurt him. And you basically just rinse and repeat between those 2 stages, but until the boss is dead.
Nice. So,
yeah.
do the fights themselves? Did that fight seem more dynamic and interesting than the previous one?
Yeah, pretty much. There were a few bugs. We ran the dungeon after the patch, so for some reason we were taking tons and tons of damage. We didn't understand why, but apparently there were like little patches of earth that you want to stand out of.
Oh, okay. So,
yeah.
I haven't run that one yet. Evie, you and I just ran the Howling King. And that's a pretty different fight. What do you think about the differences there?
I think personally that they were going in a good direction with it, but they kind of fell short with the ads, because the whole purpose of the fight, I would think, is to control the ads, put them in these fire patches to get rid of them. And we had a little bit of trouble with that, as you know.
Spirit was there as well.
Yeah.
And then we, like you said, we're just gonna DPS the boss. And when we did that is when we finally got the boss down, and that was slightly disappointing.
So basically, it's like you just want to race and kill the boss. You don't want to even bother with using the little gimmick that they have in the fight to make it interesting.
The problem with it is, like, it's functional, but the fire duration is too short. So as soon as I would call, there's fire up, let's pull them there. As soon as I called it, it was gone already. We couldn't coordinate because it was just, there was no window for coordination. So we just ended up DPSing the boss before we got overrun. That was how we dealt with the ads, as opposed to actually using the fire, which worked, just not well enough to let us survive.
And I think I was using, during that fight, I was using the fire, because what Hodgins does now is he drops fire circles on the ground and it will insta-kill any ads that go through. If I attracted too many ads, I'd just roll through the fire just to wipe them off and then go back to DPSing the boss, or at least try and continually DPS the boss and then occasionally roll through fire to wipe ads. And I think that might be the mechanic that you're supposed to go for, is not necessarily that you're trying to kill the ads, it's that if they attack you and you happen to be near fire, roll through.
You have an out, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say it's nicer, though, because they did decrease the health significantly. So instead of just standing there and, circling around behind him when he does his howl, it's a lot nicer. Also, Howling King laser beams.
They're really cool, except for the fact that they, like, one-shot you. But it's actually, his screams are visible now. So you're not like, I don't know if I might be in there, I might be not, I don't know. You can clearly see there's a laser beam and it will shoot you and it will give you 15 stacks of confusion and you will kill yourself if you don't deal with that.
And as someone that plays in Melee primarily, that is a godsend. Amazing.
Yeah, that is. What do you guys think about this moving forward then? Because they have said that they're going to be revamping, I think, all of the dungeons. Spirit?
It's a good sign. It's definitely a good sign in terms of bringing dungeons in line with what they wanted them to be, which is not 6-minute cough runs. It's group-oriented content that's not puggable, that you would really have to coordinate and pull off. It's an excellent step towards their goal, and I really hope they follow through and do this well on every other dungeon, because I'd really like to see that.
Yep.
Yeah, I hope that the negative feedback they get doesn't put them off from continuing to do this with other dungeons that really need it.
I think across the board, it's a much more, the fights are more interesting, and once you figure them out, it's going to be pretty straightforward still.
Oh yeah, well, like, it's going to get to the point, it's basically just like an arms race of knowledge. I mean, once you get everyone knowing how to do the fight, I'm very sure it's going to get to a point where it's going to continue to be 6-minute cough runs, Yeah. And it's just a matter of, making it just interesting enough so that it doesn't feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Introducing, more dynamic.
Yeah.
What's the word? Yeah, basically. Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. They're also working on a bunch of new missions out in the open world, or actually they released them which was the guild missions, which is a little bit weird. And there's a motorcycle in the background. Hi, motorcycle. If you guys can hear that, I don't know.
Yes.
Anyways, yeah, sorry about that. I really need to get like a room that's much quieter. Say love you. So we've
Get some
got
padding on the walls.
So we've got these new guild missions. Evie, tell me about them. What are they like?
Where should I start?
We've experienced them a whole
We'd
bunch.
Like
I think is where we
tell you
exactly.
what they're like if we could play them.
Yeah, that's kind of the point. There's a very big barrier of entry, which Relics of Orr isn't exactly a small guild.
We have,
So,
for reference for size, we have about 40 people representing per day.
yeah, so that's in no way small. And we're getting today the first chance to actually run it. So I can't speak from experience, but on a theoretical level, I adore the idea of it. It's just the implementation falls short a little bit because of the barrier of entry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we also did have the issue of 2 months into the game, we switched servers and had to start over again on our on rebuilding because we wanted to get back and hang out with Pig.
We hadn't started completely from scratch because a few of us, myself and Christian included, had made our home on Northern Shiver Peaks to be with Pig originally, because that's where we wanted to do our World v World, and we thought Gasting would be in right away. We had a few things when we started, so we didn't start completely from scratch, but it doesn't change the fact that, we're a little bit behind. But we were able to, we had all the upgrades. We had Art of War level 5 going into this, and we queued up bounties right away. We still weren't able to do it until today because it's a 4-day channel. What is it? 4-day build time?
Yeah.
Build time.
Unless you've got 300,000 extra in influence, which apparently guilds did, because there were people who finished early, I noticed.
Wow.
Because,
Yeah,
Some people have the stuff.
apparently. Well, we have
and
some
that was
fairly...
actually a problem because the events were bugged. That was a thing.
Really, they were bugged. How were the events bugged?
I'm not sure exactly how they were booked. There was an ANET post on the forums where they were basically told people to not use the advanced build time to shorten it because they were bugged and you wouldn't get credit for it.
So you couldn't actually shorten it for a while.
Well, you could, but when you did it, you wouldn't get credit for it.
Oh, nice.
So basically, it was just a sync that and all the influence would go into the abyss, basically.
Basically.
It was
you would
tax.
You would unlock it, but you wouldn't get anything from the bounties, it sounds like.
Oh.
So, I mean, and to unlock the actual bounty, you have to have Art of War level 5, and then you have to spend an additional 30k influence to unlock guild bounties themselves. But once you have that unlocked, unlocking a chance at a bounty is only 200 influence. So it's not like they wasted a whole lot of influence. They just weren't able to get real rewards from it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's been quite a bit made of the effect on smaller guilds. What do you guys think about this? Is this just... What do you guys think about it, Evie?
Honestly, I think this is, if it doesn't destroy small guilds outright, it's going to make them extremely rare.
Yeah. This thing is, because of the fact that you need influence, you need all these different, I'm not, this is speaking to someone who just, sees a small part of the system. This is probably going to really be a deal breaker for a lot of people, because why do I want to join a really small guild when I could join a big guild, or at least try to join a big guild that's established and has all these upgrades so I can do these guild bounties and progress my character through that avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's not even just the barrier of entry, but a lot of the time these bounties, you have to have the members to even complete them.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you kick them off is it tells you to go to a zone, and then you have to find the actual champion within the zone. Well, some of these zones are massive, and if you've got small guilds, how are you supposed to find it? It's a 15-minute time limit, isn't it? I think someone was telling me earlier, 15-minute time limit.
Yeah, there's a time limit on it.
That's actually how they implement it. You had to find. It's like a wild goose chase, basically.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds. I don't know. Okay. I promised myself I wouldn't be all pessimistic and everything, but that sounds really, really frustrating.
There's some if you're definitely doing it without any sort of outside help, it would be frustrating. But a lot of people have already found the bounties and pathed them. They have an hour path around the zones.
Okay.
So if you follow the path, you can narrow down your search area, but it doesn't change the fact that it's an hour-long path around a giant zone, and it's still going to take you a while. And then you have to actually kill the boss within so many minutes, and it's going to be frustrating.
I'm guessing the boss isn't going to be just like a tank and spank either. He's going to have like some gimmicks that'll make him a bit more tough, you know?
Okay.
Yeah,
one of the
more
big ones
go ahead.
was this one that basically these people were beating on this boss for 20 minutes with 30 people, and they had done no damage because they couldn't figure out that they needed to get this boss out of some buff AoE using knockbacks or whatever, getting rid of Defiance, and then he could take damage. So they were sitting here beating on him for like 20 minutes or whatever, and did nothing.
So there's definitely some stuff that you're going to have to pay attention. Apparently there's one that throws bear cubs at you.
I've never heard of that one.
So they talked about this on Guildcast. It sounds hilarious.
The one I really like that I've heard about is in South Sun Cove, there's a Karka that is making some strange noises. And when you kill the Karka, there's a guy that falls out, and he's like, "Oh, thank you for saving me from the Karka." And he's a bounty guy, and then you beat the crap out of him after you save him.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So, don't get eaten by Karka. Otherwise, you might have a bounty put on your head.
Yes.
Yep.
A life lesson.
So there are a bunch of other kinds of bounties. Has anyone sort of followed up on what they're like puzzle or anything like that?
It seems a lot of the focus seems to be on bounties, because that seems to be where they've put the most emphasis of reward. So it kind of makes sense that everyone's trying to get that one out of the way first.
Okay.
Well, not only that, is bounties is the first one. Like, you have to unlock that to unlock all the other ones, is what I'm hearing?
Yes, because of guild merits are required. And
after
are you guys
do
familiar
bounties,
with... Oh, go ahead.
You do the bounties and get the merits, and then once you've got merits, you can start unlocking the other types.
And you actually can't unlock merit. You can't unlock the next one until a week from your first when you unlock bounties, because you're limited to 25 merits per week from bounties, and you can only have, and the next one is 30 merits. So, why do you think they've gone with such a long path for unlocking everything?
Well, they want a long-term progression for guilds, but the way they did it screwed over anyone of not a large or a medium to large guild, at least. So I'm not sure what the reasoning was behind that, to be completely honest. Go ahead, Chess.
I'm pretty sure it's just to make it so that, you know, that it feels like you're investing your time into something, you know? Like, you progress through dungeon runs and whatnot, and you get the tokens, you trade it in for gear. That's like your investment to get the gear. And then, you know, if you don't want to do that, you can go into the auction house or the trading post and, you know, shell out some gold and get your progression that way. And this is just basically like, it's effectively like that, you know? You go do your guild bounty and you get the equivalent of ascended gear, you know?
True, and you can get ascended gear from the guild bounties.
Yep.
It requires... What do you guys think about that, getting best in slot from this system? Do you think that... there is also, you can get it through Laurels.
Well, Laurels is basically for someone who wants to
thing
get,
with
like...
Laurels...
Was that, Evie?
Okay. The thing with Laurels is this particular set of, like, accessory... you have to have ectos as well to buy it with Laurels, which I'm kind of iffy about, considering you already have to do the basically time-based grind to accumulate enough currency. And I think it's just a bit too much. But on the flip side of that, they probably did it because it takes so much time to get the guild missions and then those rewards. And if they didn't have that added ecto price, they would have to have made the laurel price ridiculously high.
Isn't the laurel
then
price already like
Wasn't
40?
it?
Yeah, it's like
it's
40 for
40.
one piece of
So
armor. So
If you were gonna go and get all your ascended gear that you can get through laurels, it's 30 for amulets. That's a monthly in 20 days. 35 for each ring, and then 40 for each accessory. And you can't even get a back piece that way.
Which means you
That's
will
a
not be
lot of
getting it.
days.
Yeah, it's
I
almost
think
a
it's-
year.
I think it's
Wow.
really it was
Not
really
quite.
made so that you can you have some form of progression without having to invest fully into either fractals or the guild missions. At the same time, it's there for everyone else who like invest time into fractals and the guild missions to get some extra off pieces, you know?
Hmm. Or
Yeah.
to gear up alts even.
Yeah, even that.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that progression continues and see if they, once they actually start getting them into World versus World and that sort of thing, see what the most efficient route becomes and how they sort of gear that. But they're definitely making Ascended gear longer term.
Yeah.
I have to wonder if they're just making it longer term for now on purpose, and then once they have everything rolled out and every like avenue of play has a way to get it, if they'll make it a little more streamlined.
I think what they're going to do is that once they release the new tier that you're going to be striving for like after Ascended, because they're going to, guys, probably, sort of,
No, they're
maybe.
not.
They're not?
The reason ascended gear came into being is because people got their exotics too quickly and they didn't have an extended goal to go for. People just had exotics within, a couple days even of launch, and then they were like, "Oh, what do we do now? What do we go for?" So they put in ascended gear as something that you strive for in terms of gear. It's not going to be something that you can just pick up instantly. It's going to be something that you have to work towards.
Okay, so they're not actually going to like roll out. It's not like going to be like traditional MMOs where you make basically a staircase of item progression.
No, they specifically said that it was right when they announced
read.
Ascended gear because they survived us all. Surprised us all. They were like,
Yeah,
"This is
it
a
was left
one-time
field.
thing. We're gonna."
They did
This is
not
something
say
we
this
feel
is
we
a
need to-
one-time thing. What they said was, we're not going to roll out a new tier of gear every 6
3
months. That is their literal what they said. So yes, Chaz, there is a possibility that we will be seeing a new tier of gear. Most likely new tiers of gear will come with expansions. And what we might see is that instead of giving us additional levels with a new expansion, they'll launch the expansion with rares and exotics as your in-game initial gear. And then you get Ascended probably 6 months in, you'll get your Ascended tier, and then they'll have another tier that they'll add in with every expansion pack. So eventually there'll be like 40 tiers and it'll be WoW rating.
Oh God, no! Please, no! God, no!
You don't
I'm
even
a little
know
bit
about.
skeptical.
You don't even know about WoW rating. Wow.
I ran Old War, and yes, it was worse than that. WoW rating was horrible.
I wasn't actually like in playing WoW during that time. I like got in like during when it was starting to like become a thing, and then I quit like kind of shortly afterward because I figured out, wow, this game is just not for me anymore. It's changed too much.
Hipster Chaz.
I know, right? Dude, I used to play WoW when it was like when it was like people were saying, "Man, I don't know, this game. I don't think it's going to survive that long."
I could probably go on and on about WoW rating, but this isn't a WoW podcast. Just saying.
Exactly.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Evie.
it's
Bring us
Sugar
back.
Cook's trying.
Eventually it'll be a WoW podcast, and we'll spend the entire time ranting about WoW. We don't
Dude, it'll be
actually
about-
play it.
It'll be about a bunch of ex-WoW players talking about WoW. Like, how sad is that? and then like,
Hey.
Kath, then
You'll have to get rid of me because I don't know anything about it.
no, you'll stay in because you're the only one. Because you're the only one you're gonna be the person that we're gonna be bouncing stuff off of. You know.
So what do you think if they did this in WoW? No, wait. All
Well,
right.
they did.
So Colin Johansson has spent the last 7 years wandering around Europe. Actually, probably about a month. But it was long enough that apparently there were some hilarious disconnects between him and ArenaNet, such as the condition cap that they are in fact looking at, which will be interesting.
Cap?
So conditions. Let me. I'll back up and then we'll go forward again. Colin Johansson went to Europe. He had a bunch of he met with people. He had epic meal interview thing that
DragonSeason.com. That was what it was.
Yeah, it was like epic meal time, where DragonSeason.com had like a 2-hour interview that they transcript. And it was a bunch of different sites, but Dragon Season was the one who got the transcript up first. And it was really long. And one of the things that Colin Johansson said was that they weren't looking at the condition cap, but then it turned out that they actually were, which... Spirit, Evie, you guys both are thieves, which, like me, on my Necromancer, we care about the bleed cap. But Evie's leaving, so Spirit, tell us about the bleed cap.
I don't know a whole lot about it, except it caps at 25, and then after that, if you stack bleeds, you're losing damage, which, for us, we run a lot of heavy condition builds, especially having so many Necromancers and Thieves in the guild, and I guess we are losing DPS compared to a straight-up Berserker or straight-up damage build, because
sounds like you
we're
need
capping
to
and losing
roll.
it.
Sounds like you need to roll a Guardian.
No.
Or a warrior.
I actually have a maxed out Guardian. It just doesn't get played much because my
I gotta like uphinge my jaw and like make it grow over here, you know, while singing a song.
Oh dear.
How does that
Okay, condition cap, yes, no, maybe? Is this what we were talking about?
So anyways, how do you think that they might change the condition cap now that we've discussed what it is? What sorts of things? Because the problem is, if you've got 3 people that are stacking conditions, like Spirit said, and you hit the 25, now all of a sudden all that DPS is lost. And if that's your primary DPS, let's say you have 3 warriors that each can deal 3k DPS.
6, if you want to.
I'm just giving numbers. So you've got 3 warriors that can each deal 3k DPS. So that means that you've got 9k DPS from the warriors. Now you've got a Necro and 2 Thieves who can do like 3k each in
conditions.
The only problem is it hits a cap, and now only 1.5 of them are actually dealing that 3k damage. So you end up with maybe like a 6k cap, or even in some instances I think it's like a 3k DPS cap. And so you're actually nerfing those people to the point where they can't deal their damage, and it's an issue because that everyone wants to do quick content, they just bring warriors because damage is better. It's annoying. That's why you can get that's why you get 4 warriors or 3 warriors, a Mesmer, and a Guardian, and that's how you kill Giganticus Lupicus in a minute 24 because they're the only ones with the damage output. Now, obviously, they do that at melee, whereas everyone else, a lot of the DPS or the condition is dealt from range. So that could also be another part of the risk versus reward.
Well, a large part of the thief conditions is Leaping Death Blossom, which is melee.
Oh. Yeah, but you're like flipping through the air. Nothing can hit you. It's cool.
You're a thief.
No, you still get hit.
It's all working as intended.
Yeah. You're a piece of tissue paper flapping in the wind that monsters come by and they're like, ah!
You are the actual afterthought of ArenaNet. I mean, come on.
No.
What, were you expecting, like, warrior deeps? I mean, really?
Are we the Rangers of Guild Wars 2?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, they're sitting there around like 2 months before launch, or however long it was before when they announced Thieves, and they're like, I guess we should have an 8th class, guys. We kind of said we were going to. They're like, yeah, but we want to have Ritualists because they're awesome. We've got all these skills, and they're like, no, Ritualist is too cool, and we need to save that for Cantha. How about you just like make a Thief, and then they threw the Thief in there, and they're like, ooh, and we're gonna take this initiative from the Guardians and give it to the Thieves, and we're good to go.
Can you imagine Guardians with initiative? Oh my god.
They actually had it initially, which I thought was really interesting. Yeah, that was like the first. That's where initiative came from. It was on Guardians.
That sounds really weird.
Yeah.
That would have been so broken. That would have been more than broken.
That's why they took it off.
I wouldn't have thought about it as like. Well, I would just think that if World like Guardian Greatsword 2, you could spam that. Just think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, just visualize that in your mind and realize just how awesome that could be for the first week until Arena says, wow, we gotta stop this right now.
Yes, Evie.
No, I was just doing a little spin with my pen.
Oh, okay, yeah. Spin to win.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you do when you're a Guardian. I'm gonna like just spin on my chair now. Whee!
I occasionally shout Demacia when
I'll be right back.
spin on my Guardian.
Guilty of that.
for those of you that... Okay, so Chaz is going to leave for a little bit, then he'll come back, and then I'm just going to arbitrarily leave. And that way we will have the full circle of people leaving the... Because so far it's in order. It started with Spirit in the upper right, then Evie in the lower left, now Chaz in the lower right, and then I'll upper left, and full circle. Circle of leaving. Anyways, it's cool. Now you guys have heard me sing my weird modification of Circle of Life. This is a Relics of Orr episode. We're random. So they are thinking of changing Commander's books, which you just got yours, Spirit. What do you think they're going to be doing with them?
I hope that they're somehow merit-based. I would love to see maybe a gold fee plus a certain number of badges of honor, or something like a non-tradable PvE equivalent, because Commander title isn't purely for World v World. It's for coordinating large groups, which is most of the reason I bought mine, not because I'm doing a whole ton of World v World. I am doing more World v World, but not because I want to lead in World v World, but because I want to coordinate, especially for guild missions, because we're going to have more than one party doing that, and that needs some kind of coordination. So
yeah.
A gold fee plus badges of honor, a gold fee plus non-tradable PvE equivalent, so you know that you've earned those PvE things. Maybe a temporary item purchased with guild merits or influence that your guild leader could choose to give to one of the members. That would be alternatives that are more merit-based than just save up 100 gold no matter how you do it, and then have a title, and then people follow you. You might have no idea what you're doing, but they're like, oh, you're a commander, what are we doing?
They actually do that. From what I've seen, people just yell at you in World vs. World if you have a commander title.
I haven't gone into World vs. World with my commander title on yet, but I'm going to do it in a couple hours, and we're going to see how that goes.
What were you going to say, Evie?
I think that there's kind of a connection with this new progression system that they're introducing in World v World. And if there isn't, there should be. So I'd like to see, like, perhaps a voting system where once you unlock the ability to become a commander, you have to be voted in by people that actually have some kind of leeway into this progression system in World v World. And that will give you commander for World v World. And then for PvE, say for guild missions or large-scale events, there could be a guild reward that's bought with influence or guild merits or something that gives a title similar to the commander. They'd have to come up with a new name for it, I think, just for PvE. That's what I would like to see personally.
That'd be a good system. Now, moving on with skills and stuff, or commander book. One thing that they could do along those lines is similar to how they're doing World vs. World passive abilities, which we've learned a fair amount about that. What do you guys think about that as a progression system? Is the leveling up in World vs. World, you can get things like carrying more supply, and these are all passive, but they have hinted that they're doing active. What do you guys think about that?
It really just depends on implementation, how long it takes to level up through this progression system in World v World. If it's something that people can go into World v World once a day and have it completely filled out in a month, then it's just going to become a norm.
Yeah. Do you think it should... Oh, go ahead, Chaz.
Another thing, one thing that's pretty important is what's going to be the difference between like someone who's fully kitted out and someone who isn't, you know? Like, if someone is fully kitted out with all these passives and whatnot, and is like twice the World v World contributor than someone who's just fresh off the boat, you know, what does that say really? You know, it can be a deterrent for a lot of people.
So an interesting thing in the interview that they hinted at is that you have to choose which passives you want. Like, I think as far as I can tell, it's probably going to be a trait line, where you actually have to level it up as a trait, and then you select what your passives are. So you say, okay, I want, for the way that I'm doing it, I want to have higher siege weapon damage, so that my siege weapons are more effective, and I'm going to spend most of my time building siege weapons and that other thing. Someone else might say, well, I want to take less damage from siege weapons and possibly run faster. So I think that's what we're looking at, is a trait system where you pick your passives, so you have to choose. So a fully kitted person might only have three different passives compared to someone who is just starting. But a fully kitted person has more options as far as what role they can play.
That's actually that's a good way. Usually, when it happens is for balancing a game, it's a lot better to just make it so that more time you spend in the game or more commitment you add to it, you get more options. That's a really safe way to do it.
Which is an interesting thing because people are discovering with some of the classes that people were more or professions that people were more ranting about being super ineffective. Now that we've had more time to play and people have started to, they've got like necromancers, for example. We have the base necro build, which is your condition mancer, which is super effective. People are beginning to branch out and try more experimental stuff now. And so we have the Death Shroud tank build, which is like you have to get 30k health with like and a bunch of armor and turn yourself into like this roving Death Shroud Doom Cloud. Sounds awesome. I'm gonna have to
Doom Cloud.
Doom Cloud. Oh yeah,
That's actually what it is.
It's pretty much because you also have Plague Cloud, which is amazing because Plague is hilarious because you go turn on blind 20 targets, just run into the middle of an enemy Zerg. And now 20 people on the enemy Zerg are blind, and you're like, ha! I feel effective.
Ha! I have 30k health. Beat that.
Well, actually, you would get more because you get an additional like 1/3 again health when you go into Plague form. So you'd be sitting at about probably 40 or 50k health.
Doesn't
Seems
Lich Form
legit.
also give you more health?
Yeah, Lich Form does as well. It's the same health scale. So, yeah, you'd be pretty ridiculous. I'm really looking forward to trying it out. I think it'd be hilarious.
Damn, I know I want to roll a necromancer.
You have to build very specifically, though. You have to get an entire exotic set devoted to health, vitality, power, and toughness. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And yeah, it's pretty hilarious looking. Maybe I'll link it in the show notes.
Yeah, maybe.
That's like what I'm going to be experimenting with over the next month or so. Because minions still suck even after the buff.
Well, a large part of that isn't how effective the minions are as much as just their AI. It's the same thing with ranger pets.
You still just sit there and stare at things.
Ranger pets, how they handled it in Guild Wars 1 and their inability to handle it in Guild Wars 1 transferring over to Guild Wars 2 was one of the main deterrents for me rolling a ranger.
I actually would have rolled a ranger if it wasn't for pets.
Yeah.
In all honesty.
Yeah, because I mean, even if you try to like just play the game without your pet, like just put it on passive and just play the game, you're basically
You're gimping yourself.
You're 3/4 of a class basically, you know.
Yeah.
And you have to, and your 1/4 is in the hands of a really dumb AI. I mean, I don't know.
They're a bit special.
It really is. You really are wearing a dunce hat when you're playing Ranger, and I don't mean that as like an insult. It's just how it works, you know.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
The weird thing is that they've tried to counter that by making Ranger one of the best combo field makers. Because they have the longest lasting and most effective combos. So
they need something basically.
So they do have something. They are useful, but your pets are definitely a bit rough.
At the very least, though, traps and spirits are actually like theoretically usable now.
They
like
are.
in Guild Wars 1, could you say the same thing? I would argue no, and I would slander anyone who would argue yes.
Yeah, I bring spirits. I shift between spirits and traps on my ranger, and they're quite effective. I mean, having a spirit that's throwing out a bunch of protection is nice.
That's pretty legit.
Evie,
What?
were you gonna add something to our?
No, it looked like you were trying to speak.
discussion?
You were like interrupting you.
We just ignored you.
Well, I was
steamrolled
saying
you.
with the spirits in Guild Wars 1, I remember being a spirit spammer, and that was pretty good. Oh, that was Ritualist.
Yeah, Ritualist. Yeah. Yeah, they it was kind of like Ranger 2.0 when you think about it. I mean, they have all the groove utility of a Ranger, but it's better.
Less health and armor, though. Well, no, same
Should
health.
call it
Everyone had the same
Ritualist
health in
skills.
Guild Wars
Everyone had
1.
the same health of
Ranger.
onset.
I remember Guild Wars 1. That was a game that I played once.
That was a great game. I'm going to say that right here now.
It's
It was a
fantastic.
great game.
Guild Wars nostalgia.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you go back, but there's one key thing. I can't do this. I'm jumping now.
Yeah.
You can type /jump.
You can.
And it
not
felt
the
like they
same.
were trolling when they did that. It really did.
So true. They're like, you can jump, sort of. Kind
Yeah.
of. Oh, no.
They had a lot more emotes, though. I'm going to give them that.
You've got in the notes here that they have confirmed new legendaries, Spirit. Did they confirm it, or did they say that they're thinking about it?
That was in the Colin Johansson interview, and that was confirmed. It had always been hinted at previously that we might see another generation of legendaries, but now it's confirmed there's going to be new legendary types, not weapons. They said that specifically. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but types, not weapons. And new combinations thereof will be available in the future. Not February.
Legendary shirt. Well, knowing ArenaNet, they're going to be like, well, we could make new art assets, or we could just release all the trinkets.
Well, the priority with legendaries right now is to get the precursors in line and get the scavenger hunt in, and then maybe we'll see after that some new ones.
So do you think that if they ever add a level cap onto Guild Wars 2, that legendaries will just bump up to the level cap item, to a level cap ascended gear?
I think they
Yes.
said that they would.
That's always, they said if you get a legendary, it's an investment, and it will always be best in slot.
Nice. I approve of that.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because
So-
not many games do that at all. You get, like, a really, really cool-looking sword with a really cool-looking graphic, and lo and behold, an expansion later, it becomes, you know, it's okay.
It's okay,
Well,
but then you
It's,
go...
it's okay. No, it's okay while you're leveling.
Yeah. And then you get to the max level and someone's like, I found this blue toothpick. I think it might be better than your uber epic flaming sword. But this is on fire and that's like a toothpick. It's got better
It's not even a
stats.
toothpick. It would be like a half-eaten toothpick.
Yeah, I know. You pulled out of the mouth of like some random giant that you were hanging. So it's like
No,
covered
dude, it
in
won't be like a giant.
saliva.
It'll be like in the stomach of like a dying
Some
pig.
rat.
a dying pig.
A dying pig with a nasty case of diarrhea.
Oh no.
Well, at least you know that you'd be dealing poison damage, hopefully.
Man, I'm
Yep.
going deep with this.
Well, yeah, to get to a pig's stomach, you do have to.
Yep.
Oh no, that would... Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
looking for... I will probably work on a legendary at some point simply for that reason, but...
Yeah.
If I really like the overpowered Necro build that I'm going to be working on, or the tank build, I might go for the Frostfang. Or whatever it's called. The Frosty Axe.
The axe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Frostfang.
It's the only one that I don't think is weird. Aside from Meteorologus. I just can't bring myself to build a short bow that is full of unicorns and rainbows.
That's
Bro.
the same problem I
Yeah,
have
in that same boat.
with the
I'm pretty
legendaries.
sure they did it because of all the little My Little Pony fans.
I'm pretty
It's a really
confident
cool
there's-
weapon. I just don't want to invest that much into it and have it forever when
Yeah.
I could have a
Yeah.
really cool weapon as opposed to like a joke weapon. I mean, it is really cool. I just don't want a quote-unquote joke
So
weapon.
what you can do
A
is
novelty weapon.
you build
Yeah.
that legendary, and then you transmute the legendary status onto an exotic. But then so now you've got the skin. Then you transmute that legendary thing, the skin of an exotic, onto the legendary. I don't know. That would be kind of weird. I don't recommend that.
No, don't do that.
Or they can make more legendaries.
Why would you do that to a
That's fine.
perfectly good item?
I don't.
I'm probably gonna get
No.
one of the second gen, hopefully, legendaries. I've started working on mine, but I'm not building anything specific until I know more about what's coming.
I'm
I
torn.
learned that there were legendaries in this game just now.
Chaz has been following Guild Wars 2 very aggressively.
Oh yeah, like it was like all the way, and then launch happened, and then I was like,
That's okay, because you're here now on the
I'm here
show
now.
again, bringing your Canadian.
That's what
goodness.
counts.
I don't know why I'm
Exactly.
obsessing about your Canadianness.
I don't know. You know, honestly, Ryan did a lot of that too.
It's true. I think that's the thing. Like us in the Mountain
think-
Time Zone, or maybe it's my Alaskan heritage.
You guys just really, really want to associate with Canadians. I'm thinking.
Eh?
You're our favorite hat. You're our only hat.
We're the only
favorite
people who
one.
would deal with you.
Pretty much.
Thank you, Canada.
Canada.
Where are we on the show notes? I think I got lost. Help me, I'm lost!
We're almost done.
Oh my goodness, are we? Wow.
Oh no.
Yeah, we blitzed through it.
So they've been doing Living Story then, it looks like. Man, we are like show ninjas this week.
We are.
Living Story.
Yeah.
So, what have they been doing with the Living Story, Spirit? Walk us through it.
So, was it last month it started?
Yes.
Okay, so back last month, we started seeing in Wayfarer Foothills and Diessa Plateau, there were a stream of refugees coming down from the north. And we got the heralds in each of the major cities, which are marked with stars, and they'd say, yeah, there's something going on in Wayfarer, there's something going on in Diessa, go check it out. And you would go to the Black Citadel and Holbrook, and there would be refugee camps. And it's continuing to update every Monday. There's no patch. You just have to go check in and see what's going on. The refugee camps in both Holbrook and Black Citadel have grown to a reasonable size now. There's quite a lot of refugees, and some of them will talk to you, oh yeah, there's stuff coming down from the north. And in addition to that, they've been hinting there's something going on with the Dredge and the Flame Legion.
Apparently
So
they've grouped up.
Yeah, that all happened last month. There was also the volunteer title, which last month for helping refugees, fixing signs, lighting fires, reuniting them with mementos, whatever.
And
then
yes,
in addition,
singing "Come On Baby, Light My Fire" was a popular thing in Mumble.
it was. We sing a lot in Mumble. Come
We
join
do.
us sometime.
rather
Yeah,
entertaining.
so this month, that has evolved and solidified into there are Flame Legion and Dredge invading Wayfarer Foothills and Diessa Plateau. There are portals, and there are enemies coming out of the portals, and there's 2 new titles related to driving them back.
So,
I went up there to do it the other day, but I actually couldn't find any, so I can't tell you too much about that yet. But it has progressed into a tangible thing. There's also, up in Wayfarer, there's a gate where I haven't seen one before. I don't know if I was completely blind or if that's a whole new thing. It's immediate. Like if you warp in the top right corner of the zone, there's a waypoint, and then there's that Dolyak heart. If you go immediately north of the portal to Diessa, there's a gate, something there that I don't believe was there previously.
dun dun dun.
I think it's going to be a new dungeon.
Ooh, interesting.
I think it's going to be a siege turtle assault. Why do you guys think the Dredge and the Flame Legion have teamed up?
I have no
Because
idea.
they're 2 villains that overall don't have much of an overarching storyline.
Yeah, what would compel?
Can I put my
the-
tinfoil hat on?
Yes, let's
Yes.
do this, Evie.
Destroyers.
So you think that
Titans.
you think Primordius has taken over command of both groups?
Actually, that sounds like pretty legit.
That does actually, man.
In opposition to that, I don't remember who came up with this, so I can't give proper credit, but somebody put forward the theory that, I think it might have been Ryan, they're mutually they're against the destroyers. They've teamed up to go against the destroyers, but they're also in opposition to everyone else. So the destroyers are driving them out, which is driving them into us. We're pushing back.
Wait, weren't the
Destroyers
aren't this
and us will crush them between us.
doesn't the Flame Legion worship the destroyers though?
No, that was a Titans before.
There was a
Well, no,
Titan-
they
and it was
worship
something
the,
else.
They worship the destroyers in Guild Wars Eye of the North. They were worshiping
Oh,
the
Yeah.
destroyers.
See, I'm
Yeah, you were
see,
right.
I have information that's 250 years out of date.
Yeah, so apparently they kicked them to the curb, but they still worship fire. I mean, the Flame Legion is still all about fire everywhere.
Mhm.
And if you notice that they're...
There's really nothing else.
So, I mean, I could see maybe if one of their leaders was like a super fiery guy that showed up and he's like, I'm such an awesome Flame Legion shaman and I'm
Honestly,
running
it's probably
everything.
going to be that. It's
And it
probably
turns
going to
out
be
that actually what he is he's controlled by Primordius, but he's pretending to be cool. And then the mole people they don't even know who their leader is. He just talks through a megaphone, and it's actually like a Primordius general. Spirit, you raised your hand like a nice young lady. Go ahead and...
I had to remember. There was another new blog post by Angel McCoy about the evolution of Living Story. And one of the things she said is, we will be introduced to a personal nemesis who is a face we will recognize.
Wait, they said we would recognize it?
Yes.
It's Thackeray, by the way.
God,
Logan
no, please.
Thackeray.
I don't want to see him ever again.
I've
Okay,
actually started liking Thackeray now that I realize he's like the only flawed hero in Guild Wars 2.
I was okay with
It's
him when we hit the
Fiery
end of the
Thackeray.
story, but then when I went back into a raw and he refused to kill himself and therefore bugged the dungeon, I'm no longer a fan of his because he broke my game experience.
Sounds
he
like he's a
can't even
scumbag.
commit suicide properly.
No.
Well, you know what? At least he doesn't do everything perfectly like a certain plant.
To be honest, I'd rather he did do things perfectly because I don't like my dungeons getting bugged. You know,
That's a good point.
That's pretty dirty.
Dang, Logan Thackeray.
Yeah.
So a guy that we've seen before. I did see on Reddit that a lot of people were thinking that it's probably the Azura that was announcing the Karka event, because he's already a lot of people's nemesis, because he sat there and was like, citizens, 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 and people are like, we hate you so much. So that's the running theory on Reddit.
Does the consortium have any hand in that? Well, here's what I have gathered thus far from February. There are refugees moving into Lion's Arch. Do you think the consortium has anything to do with that?
No, it's just further away from the scary things.
It's less of a thing with Consortium and probably more of a, the refugee areas and the Black Citadel and Holbrook are getting full, so there's an Asura gate. Let's go through it.
Well, the reason South Sun Cove isn't being used, so could that be a haven for refugees?
It's a haven for anything that they want to ever add anytime, anywhere.
Yeah,
Southside
but
Cove.
it needs something to... It needs to be addressed. There's nothing going on there right now. Well, there's guild missions and the events, but other than that, there's nothing going on there. No draw to be there. So if they move the living story into it, it'll be more of a draw.
It could, yeah. I mean, like, there's so much potential in the world, this world right now, because there's a lot of unused space.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if they created... I think one of the reasons is that it's not as farmable as Orr is. And so a lot of people spend more time farming Orr or Frostgorge Sound.
Yeah.
It's
So
really
that
just a matter
may
of convenience.
Maybe they need to add some world events there that drop chests, like a dragon event, like a Bubbles dragon, a Bubbles general. That's where they should introduce Bubbles.
Bubbles?
Yeah.
Deep Sea
Bubbles
Dragon.
is the
Deep Sea
fifth
Dragon.
dragon. We still don't know its name. We're this far after launch. We have no idea.
Okay, so that's what they
Bubbles is doing.
call it. That's what they call it. Bubbles,
Yeah.
I see.
There is the theory that it's Mordramoth, but a lot of people are theorizing that Mordramoth is a plant dragon.
Honestly, like, these are all just words to me.
Yeah.
Words.
Mordramoth is a dragon, theoretically, similar to
Yeah.
other ones.
But does he know why kids love the great taste of Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
I don't think he does.
Well, he should get
Actually,
on
I
that.
was seeing the Dragon Bakery in Lion's Arch, so he might know.
He might know.
He might know. Dang, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Mysteries. Much like the Dredge and the Flame Legion.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, hopefully we'll figure it out. I'm looking forward to meeting our nemesis. And potentially, they said that there's also going to be some new heroes coming along. Apparently, we're going to build our own Destiny's Edge in the living story. Because like, there's a Norn and a Char that are going to show up. And then we'll probably get like an Azura. And so our character will be like the new leader of a new version of Destiny's Edge.
I can see it now. It's like the characters will phase out based, so there'll be like one of each race, and basically there'll be one character that'll be left out based on what your character is. You know,
that'd be interesting if they.
But which
actually-
one's left out?
I think what'll happen is you'll get one of each race, and then as they introduce new races, your character will be like just the leader one, much like you were pre. Actually, was your character ever a leader in the personal story?
no, you're always the commander.
You were
It
always,
depends
like, second
on-
in command.
Well, in in the Char personal story, you can either become a legionnaire through your warband dying, or there's a story option where you can murder your legionnaire and take his spot because he's incompetent. So there's some capacity for leadership. If you're a Char, you did lead a warband.
Okay, so Char get the lead. So what I think they're doing is one thing that people talked about, that they mentioned they recognized with the personal story, is that there wasn't a lot of continuity of character. And so I think what the living story is doing is they're going to be creating like the people that follow you. Like you go and help this person, and then you go and help this person, and you build this group up over a year or two.
It's like Heroes.
Yeah, except with hopefully more character.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, Kos had a lot of character.
Norgu had a lot of character.
We don't talk about Norgu here.
Norgu had a lot of character.
All right,
I was
I'm just gonna
traumatized
mute
by
you
Norgu.
right now.
He was quite the chum.
Why Norgu of all things, Chaz? Why?
Because
Norgu?
he was a Mesmer, and Mesmer OP.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess
I
that's
had
true.
2 Mesmers, but I bought the Mercenary Heroes specifically so I wouldn't
because
have to use Norgu.
I don't even know why you hate him so much.
I don't know. I
He's
just
like
don't
the
like
worst.
him.
It's like at this point, I think you just like humor us, you know.
He was creepy to me. I didn't like him. I didn't want him in my
I'm
party.
the same way. I actually made Raza a Mesmer just so I wouldn't have to take Norgu along.
I made
That is
Raza a Mesmer because I wanted another Mesmer.
I did at the end of when I pretty much stopped playing Guild Wars. I was running a 3 Mesmer hero setup.
I was running like 4 Mesmers. They were just
Oh my
so good.
goodness.
Like I don't need Elementalists anymore. I just have armor ignoring damage. I can throw all the hexes on everything.
I might have
Yep.
to try that at some point.
What, you played
If I ever
Guild
get
Wars? Weird.
I logged in over the Canthan New Year.
Ooh,
That was
there's actually reasons to log into Guild Wars as well.
Yeah.
Because they're still doing that stuff, aren't
Yeah.
they?
They
Yep.
have now released every Celestial mini pet. You could pick from any of them this year. So I got like 3 of them.
Oh,
Nice.
You could get there's the normal random drop chance, and then there's the actual guaranteed purchase that you can do on. You get a guaranteed purchase and then the random drop from tickets, like you did previous years.
It's kind of cool.
And it was 1 per account. I've got 3 accounts for Guild Wars 1, so I just went on each of them, got enough to buy what I needed,
Yeah.
and it worked out pretty well. It was pretty cool. It was only like 100 lunar tokens or whatever it is that they use during Canthan New Year.
Yep.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, no, it was really good. So I've got I got the pig because I missed that the first year because I was playing WoW.
That one's the most important one too.
I know. Now you gotta go back and get the
speaking
pig.
of pigs.
Speaking of pigs, Evie's super excited about that. I got the pig. I got there's a snake because this is the year of the snake. I got a dragon because you could get a dragon one. Or was that last year's? I have a dragon.
That was
somewhere.
last year's.
Okay, that's where I got the dragon. So then I got something that I didn't have before. I got like a horse or an ox or something.
Look at my horse.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Evie has returned with.
Oh, Evie has something to show us.
Does he have a
I know what he's
Hamstorm?
got.
Is this a Hamstorm that we're gonna see? Because that would be amazing.
It may be better than Hamstorm, slightly. Not really. No.
He's really excited about this. Look at that
Par with Hamstorm.
smile.
I don't know what that is.
It's Oink, signed by Caddy Hargrove.
Ooh. Wait, go back. How is that? Oh, did you cut out like Oink and like make an Oink?
Yeah. I got this from Kill 10 Rats a few months ago before Guild Wars 2 came out.
Nice. For
So
some
what I'm
reason-
going to do is get a whole bunch of printouts, cut them out, and yeah. And this is the other thing I got out of it, so if you guys are wondering.
Is that what is that? Is that like a lizard tengu person?
I actually have no idea.
Is that a
I have
Guild
no
Wars 2
idea. I'm just
concept
showing
art?
it to you. It's show and tell today.
Is that Guild Wars 2 concept art?
Yes.
What is? I have not seen that thing in game.
Well, that's what's concept art.
The text on it says large plates along the back and vestigial wings can be used as elements to unify the Koado army. So I'm assuming it's a Tengu thing.
But he's got
Yeah.
a lizard tail.
No, I'm thinking this the wrong
Problem?
way.
Tengu don't have lizard tails. They're birds.
Hoplum.
Oh man, we've got mutant Tengu. The Tengu are doing biological experiments inside the domain of winds.
To be honest, though, like the raptors and the Tengu have a lot in common.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so we could be seeing the evolution of the Tengu into dinosaurs.
That's how it works. That's actually,
I would play that.
Yeah, I'd play that too.
Label race, please.
That would actually be pretty awesome. You were complaining that you don't have raptor farming anymore, Chaz? I've got a place in Queensdale that you can go and just kill raptors to your heart's content. They're constantly respawning. You can just farm the living daylights out of them.
To be honest, I hated raptor farming. It was like one of those things where it's like it could go so well, but just one little small hair of error and it just completely screws up and there's nothing you can do about it. Too bad.
I never actually figured out how to make it work. I always died horridly.
There's an art to it, and usually you need to listen to Highway to the Danger Zone because that like magnifies your skill level by like 500%.
Really? I'll have to try that. I also failed horribly.
Crescendo, and you see all the raptors like just coming at you, and you're like just pressing all the buttons from 1 to 6. And
is this kind of like starting the album? Do you have like the system where you're like, okay, I start the what is it, that Pink Floyd album, Dark Side of the Moon, with Oz, with the Wizard of Oz? Is it kind of like that where you have like a specific time you like zone in, you click play, set it to this time so that when you get there it's perfectly timed?
Yep, pretty much.
I'm probably over engineering that.
Yeah, you really are. I just like put it on loop, to be honest.
And just keep raptor farming.
So like I could be like waiting for a bunch of leeches to like come in, and I'll be like, whatever, I'm just gonna listen to this while doing that.
You know, did you do that to actually level up, or was it loot, or were you trying to get the reputation grind, or were you?
It was a little bit of everything, actually. Like the reputation grind was definitely a welcome addition. I did it mainly for like the conches, because the conches, when you added a measure for measure enchantment to it, it would like give you like 100 glittering dust. Bam. And as long as it was on a gold. So you could get like a ton of dust really easy. And I did that when it was slow getting dust, because I remember a period when it was actually hard to get that stuff, and I usually sold like con sets.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly. Or I would just sell the material flat out if I had like enough of it, because it was like, yeah, dust was like pretty hard to come by otherwise, to be honest.
Now you really liked Commodon. I remember you saying in Guild Wars 1 and playing the market there. How do you feel the market has transferred into Guild Wars 2?
It's not as interactive at all. It's just in the trading post, but that's both a good thing and a bad thing. I don't like the barter system all that much. I can understand why people left it like thousands upon thousands of years ago, and yeah, it just makes a lot more sense. But then again, that was like for the introduction of currency. But in this one, it just makes it so much more smoother to just sell something you want, and you're able to communicate with everybody across the game.
As opposed to just one little district of Commodon. Exactly,
and that's a huge thing, by the way. That's pretty big. Like, you were really just a speck in a sea of many in Commodon, but in the trading post, there's endless possibilities there. I can definitely see someone making tons of gold just by buying and selling things.
Are you going to do that? Because we kind of needed an economist on the show.
Give me a...
Oh, did we just lose Chaz? He got so excited about economy, and he froze.
No.
Oh, he's back. You there? We can't hear you. Oh no. He's been replaced by the frog demon.
So what we'll really have to do is we'll have to get him to tell us all about it some other time.
All right.
And wrap the show up, because we have to get a guild mission going.
We should. Okay, yeah, that's true. We've got 4 minutes, so we're going to we will reveal the mystery of Chaz's answer later on. Stay tuned. Tune in next week. All that stuff. So we're going to run a guild mission. Let's finish off with wheel morality really quick.
Hang on, I want to do like a 2-second thing.
Go.
So for Relics of Orr, the guild specifically, we're still recruiting. You're welcome to come join us. We are running the guild missions, and if you want to come do that, you're welcome to come run that with us. If you want to do that, you can get in touch with me. I'm Spirit Face in game, one word. You can whisper me, and I'll get you a guild invite. Or Cole, Shungaku, Sea Squirrel Run, Christian, or Lacey, who's an XC, and you can find us on the forums. Feel free to whisper us. We'll give you a guild invite, and if you're going to whisper me, please whisper me in English. I can understand Spanish and to some extent Portuguese, but I've been getting whispers in Polish and Portuguese specifically lately. I really don't know what you're saying, but thank you for whispering me.
Google Translate is your
figure it
friend.
out.
By the way,
I tried.
Polish
I tried. It
and
didn't work.
Portuguese and Spanish peeps use that Google Translate. It doesn't matter if it's broken English or whatever, because you know that Google Translate is a great product that is very, very accurate. But you know what? As long as it's broken English, I think we'll be able to figure it out.
For example,
Yeah.
first of all, if you've ever seen me type anything, I have typed occasionally in ways that sound like English is not my first language. I leave out various linking words. Anyways,
Just to
if
don't
it's-
let it deter you if you're not in the US. Don't let it deter you from joining Relics.
Yeah.
You're still more than welcome. But we are a primarily English-speaking guild, and if you don't speak English, you just might not be able to communicate with us as well.
we
You're still
will
more than welcome to join
occasionally
us.
break into Spanish just to troll each other, but other than that,
That happens. Yep.
We still
Okay,
love you,
Wheel of
though.
Morality.
yes. All right.
Keeping you on track. I want to do my guild mission.
All right, wheel morality, turn. Tell us the lesson that we should learn. Chaz.
Whoa. Freaky, I was thinking that was going to be me. It's going to be me. And yeah. So,
I had nothing. So it was,
Yeah,
it was
I don't
definitely
think-
not
I
going to
don't
be
think
me.
either.
Spirit always
Guild-
panics. I
Guild
haven't
Wars
had
2
Eevee.
Guild Wars 2,
Hmm?
I gave it a chance. So I guess the idea here is you should give stuff a chance because it might not just be as bad as you thought it would be.
So are you saying that Guild Wars 2 is not a WoW clone?
No. No, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Oh, well, then, on that bombshell, thank you everyone for watching, either now, live, which is no one apparently, or we're all watching it, or when you're watching it on YouTube, feel free to send us email, comments, questions at relicsofore@gmail.com, tweet us at relicsofore, or leave comments in the show below the YouTube video, or on our website, relicsofore.com. You can also go to the forums, which some people check occasionally. We could probably use a community manager one of these days. Anyways, good having you guys
And
watching.
what?
Yeah, manage what? There's like, I don't even check the forums because I'm terrible.
I
So that's
do.
probably
I do
not-
daily.
Spirit
Gonna get
checks
a
the
vote making.
forums.
Like the random bot that appears once in a while.
The
We
Google
get the
bot.
Ask Jeeves
Otherwise
spot.
known
I
as
don't get
Skynet.
that one.
Most of our traffic on Relics of Orr is from various Ask Jeeves and like the Google bot. They're looking for us, making sure that we exist still. So
Yep.
there we go. All right, well, we will talk to you guys later. We're gonna go run a mission, and thank you everyone for being on the show.
Can I come? Can I
You can
come?
come, Chaz.
Yes.
All right.
Inclusion. So this is what it's like to have friends.
This is what it's like. Internet group hug.
No.
Aw.
Fine. You left me hanging.
I returned the group hug spirit. It's cool.
Okay.
All
I
right.
will see you guys
See
in
ya.
a minute.
Bye.
Good night, Internet.